if I get emotional, please forgive me. When I entered the world of Jefferson, and it is a world, anybody who lives here knows what I'm talking about. There were friends made back then, and relationships. We were blessed because Gary became friends with Matt, and we were introduced to the Reeves family. And back then I was a frequent flyer at the Reeves house. I was there a lot. And if you were to ask me then, and even now, it was always a good experience. It was always good to be with Jim and Ada. They were always up, no matter what was going on in their lives. And I can't say it for everybody, but they were always receptive to me. And that's personal. But I loved them. I lost touch with them, like most of us do, as the world goes on. I think that sometimes you stand here and you say, how do you sum up somebody's life or even talk about it, a whole life in a few minutes? But I can. I can lend light to Ada really simply, and I'm going to tell you how. Richie, Amy Zico's husband, is a paramedic. And he came home one night and he said, "You know Ada Reeves, right?" I said, "Oh yeah." He said, there's no joke, he said, "What a blessing to have somebody in need come into the ambulance and make it a good time." I think that sums her up. Never a dull moment, he said. She was never sad or complaining. She said outright, she was funny. It was a blessing to have somebody like that. I think that says more than we want to say about a person. Because Richie didn't know her well outside of that particular instance. Amy did, I did. We live in a world today, especially, when we think of a time like this. Where is God? Where's religion? What does it count? How does it fit in? How do the Reeves fit in? How does Ada fit in? I'm a religious fanatic, if anybody knows me. God don't measure us by going to church. God measures where our hearts are at. God measures how we deal with the crazy situations in life, and don't let them change us, but give us an opportunity, like I just shared with Ada, to laugh at it and keep moving. There's no perfect people in this world. There's no perfect life. We struggle with many things under many circumstances all the time. But to say when somebody's down and out and they're still okay with it, says a lot about a heart. A lot more than we consider what religion would consider. Me, I know one thing for sure. God's going to judge us by where our hearts are at, not by how many times we go to church. He's going to judge us how we treat other people and how we try to do the best that we can. Ada was like that. Was she perfect? No, she wasn't perfect. None of us are. Did she get it all right? No, not even close. But again, God's not going to measure how well we do. He measures us by the intent of our heart. He always will, he always has. And that's what religion's really about. Some of us like formal religion. Me, I don't. And I'm a believer in God. I'm a believer in heaven. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. But the radical part about religion is not what we talk, it's how we live. Both Jim and Ada were very kind and gentle people. They were. I don't know how anybody else could talk about them, but to me, I always enjoyed being there. I know the kids thought I was nuts back then. because I was always talking, and I really enjoyed their company, and I think you all know that. I enjoyed your mother, I enjoyed her craziness, and she was all over the map, but she just had a heart of gold. You don't go to somebody's house and not go there unless you feel comfortable, you feel okay with them, you feel like you're received, you feel like, hey, they like me. Ada liked me, I know that. And again, I said we drifted apart over the years. Our kids grew up, and I got to know Jimbo and the girls, and I even did your wedding. But here, we're here to celebrate a life. The world may never know her, but the people in her world knew her. And I don't think she's going to be missed because we just love her, but she's going to be missed because she brought something to the table. She brought her heart into everything that she did. In her own way, not the classic, what we think is wonderful and good. Ask her kids, they'll all give you a different story, I promise you. But she had a good heart. And I can tell you this, as a human being, I loved her. I wish I spent more time with her, honestly. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that I have this opportunity to say what little bit I know about her. And I say little bit. They were a great couple. He was such a kind man, she was such a kind lady. They were always good to me, personally, and my family. What more do you say about a person except this? I hope you have great pain. I do. I hope that it bothers you to pieces, the people that knew her and loved her. It bothers me. Why? Because when there's real love, there's real pain. And the biggest problem we have in life is we'll leave this room and we'll all try to not think about it because it's not comfortable. But then we're shirking all that love. It's okay to face the pain and realize that's not your love. That's not your love. That's her love for you. Don't let it die. Don't let it go away. Don't fold it up and say it was nice while it was here. Because she's alive in you. Much more than you think. She shaped some of your personalities, good, bad, or otherwise. She gave you a lot of herself. There's no doubt about it. And I'll tell you one thing about Ada. You got a lot of it whether you wanted it or not. And that's the truth. She got in your face. You knew she was in your face. Yes? Some of us in this family got that trait. I won't mention any names. How much do you say? And what do you say? And what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad? We could say this. She's gone from us. But what she left is not material. It's in our hearts. It's the caring, the gentleness, the kindness, the crazy moments. And she had a lot of crazy moments. But they were good. They're memorable. And don't put it away when we leave here. Take the pain. Remember the joy and the good times. I was sitting there looking at those pictures. I could probably tell you 1,000 stories. Funny things about both Jim and Ada. I knew them well. It's hard to believe. Like I said, I've been out of their lives for a long time, but people don't leave you because you're not physically with them. Love goes a different direction in this life. So I want to leave you with this thought, and I can talk forever. Anybody knows me knows that. I want to leave you with this thought. We might remember the good, the bad, and the otherwise. We might have wanted more from her or less from her or different from her than she gave us. But whatever she gave, and I say this as a person, she gave from her heart. She wasn't interested in other things. She loved her family. Everybody knows that. Did she do the right things all the time? Hey, look, we're human. But nobody's going to tell me that that wasn't her interest. I remember when I used to gather up there, she loved being in the middle of her family. She loved it. And I can remember, not mentioning any names, somebody would want to go out and she'd go, "Where you going?" I remember those things. I do. Because she liked being surrounded by the people she loved. What a statement that is to say about somebody. You could say a lot of good things about what people do good, but how many people really love and are dedicated to their families today? Very few, I'm telling you. Very few. We could say we love them, but they're distant. But Jimbo spent a lot of time with them. All of you did. You're all here. Why? Because that's what she would do. You're only shining examples of a love that has lit up your lives. Again, we're not perfect people. We may not even be good people. But love doesn't speak that way. And God doesn't speak that way. The most beautiful thing that Jesus said, sometimes we forget in church, is to love one another. I don't think Ada ever had a problem doing that with anybody. I just mentioned Richie didn't even know her, and he said, what a delight to have her in the ambulance, especially when you have so much pain and so much grief. And no matter what was wrong, she was always a joy. What a beautiful thing to say about a person. I think that sums up her more than anything you could say, good, bad, or otherwise, or things she's done. When a stranger can meet somebody and talk about the joy in their life in the middle of a catastrophe because they're running to the hospital with them, that says a lot about your character and about who you really are. And on that note, I just want to remind you again, don't let go of the love, no matter how painful it is, because it's in you. Sometimes we don't want to think about it because it's painful. No, think about it and don't lose it. She gave you a lot. Keep the good, the bad, and the otherwise. Keep it alive. And be that light to your children and your friends. And maybe someday when they pick you up and you have to go to the hospital, somebody will say something like that about you. Wouldn't that be nice? On that note, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here. I want to thank you that I know and knew, and I say no because she's not God for me. These pictures brought so much back to me. I really enjoyed being with your family. And again, I thank you. And God bless you as we go from here.
I'm going to speak for our family. I stand up for, now for my profession, right? I can speak in front of a lot of people. So, a few days ago, we sat and talked, and unfortunately we had to come up writing Mom's obituary, right? What are we going to say about her? And started thinking back and started back from high school, right? Or we started back in high school. Let's think about things that Mom did, right? She loved sports. She'd always tell us she played volleyball, baseball, or softball. What was the other one? Basketball, right? Tennis. She loved sports in high school stuff, and she did. And then we came here and they wanted to know her hobbies. And we started talking and kind of looking at each other, like, all right, what did Mom love to do? And if you knew Mom way back then, she liked to tape movies. Right? So my mom, I'll say it now, was a legal taping person. She would get the 2 VCRs and she would tape the movies and the whole community would come out and borrow them, right? That was one of her hobbies. And we're thinking, reading. She always had Harley Quinn and romance novel type things. Jude Devereaux was sitting next to her and she would read those things hours upon hours. You would see her when you got home exploring and when we went to bed, she was still reading those books. Those were the things, right? Video games. You're over, I don't get that love, or you got that love, some of you did. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, as we got older, it was Nintendo. And she would play Mario Kart and all those things. She loved those late at night. And crochet. And those were one of my great things that I didn't do. She tried teaching us. And for the life of me, I was too cool in high school to sit down and learn crochet. And one of my most cherished possessions is for my wedding, she crocheted me a tablecloth. It's still on our table. I won't even eat on it much, but it's still on our table in our dining room today. I had it packed up for a long time and tissue paper, and I'm like, oh. Friends, we weren't blessed with children, so I'm like, oh, what can I pass that down to? So I took it out, and it's on my dining room table. But we never learned. She used to sit us down and be like, I'll teach you how. I don't know if any of the other girls learned how. I didn't. I was like, oh, I don't know how to crochet, right? Now I wish I did. But that's what we could think, and we're looking at each other going, you know, what do we say about mom? And it was her family. Like, that's what it was. It's any one time we asked each other, tell me something about mom. It was just the love of her kids. That's it, you know? She didn't go out and do anything, like anything. She didn't do dinners, you know? She loved my dad, but she didn't go out for dinners. If she did, we went with her, right? If she went shopping, man, she trudged us into stores, all of us. We're bad, we didn't go sit in my car, right? But she took us with her. There's nothing she did that we weren't by her side. Right? Everything was about her family and her kids. We had everything we needed, not everything we wanted all the time. Anything we needed, she made sure we had. I don't know how many times she did, like I say, shopping, because she loved to shop. And she took the longest time in a store. Have you ever been with her? Gloria, you get that after. I don't know how they do it. It's like 2 hours to go into Walmart. And I'm like, I can be in and out in 10. But she loved that, but there's many times we're walking to that store, my mom would just slowly start to take stuff out of the cart that she wanted and put them back so that we could have what we wanted, right? So we didn't know. There were so many times she did that. Everything was about us, always. Like, I don't remember a time when she wasn't there. You know, it's been a few years since I could do the phone calls with her, right? Those I've missed for a long time of just calling her up and, you know, tell her the good things, you know? Or complain about the bad things that happen in life. So it's been a little while since we could do that. But then she was always there growing up, always, no matter what, right? She was the strength, right? She taught me about being a strong person. How she did it and moved way up to the middle of nowhere by herself pretty much. My dad came up on weekends, but it's what she did for her family. She did it for her children at the time. She wanted them to have a different life than we were having down in Jersey. So she moved us up. And she did everything. I remember going down in that the creepy basement. It was all, there was rocks and stones, you gotta remember it, to fix the water heater, or fix the water pump, and do all that by herself. And I remember being scared to death, shaking and holding a flashlight, right? But she didn't care, she did it all. She did it all. She, you know, she still did. And she did it all for us. There's not a time I don't remember her being there. So it's really hard thinking she's not gonna be there now, right? She's not going to be the one we come see and make sure we can spend time. She is. She's who I am today. I dedicate to her and my dad. Right? They both are part of that. They made us who we were. And she was an amazing woman. Her dedication, you know, her sacrifices for all of us throughout the years, it's not replaceable. We've talked about the pain and the grief the last few days, all of us. All the way up until late last night, right? Just texting back and forth. And even her last wish that she told me is not for herself. Like, she didn't want this. We were honest, not a big thing, but she didn't want this. We needed some of this. She said, I just want my family to get together. She made me promise that family stays together. That was her last wish, was her kids. It wasn't where she gets placed or this or that. She didn't want any of that. She said her last wish was for her family, and that so speaks of who my mom is. That's what she was, her family. Just make sure you stay together, and that's what makes sure you stay close. Make sure you continue doing things. She didn't want us drifting apart. Those are the last things she talked about with me. And we're gonna do that. So let mom, family here know, if you don't like me, sorry. I made a promise, I stick to my promises, right? So we're here. I don't want to put anyone else on the spot. If anyone else would like to speak, they can. Make eye contact. It's hard. It's hard. You would? Come on. This is Jalen, if you don't know him. He's Lori's youngest.
You excluded Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie's on
Oh my gosh, I have not been hearing so much about this video. The dog was in the video. Sorry, my dog. You weren't in the pictures. All right, listen. We told you guys to send me the pictures. You didn't send me any, Jamie. Well, go ahead.
When Mom used to make me read books to my
because that's the only one that I remember.
Yeah, what's the read short?
But now I wish I could read to her at least like a really good book,
Aw,
a really long book and multiple books.
no.
And it's about anything. I would want to read to her.
I know he's sick, okay. You give me strep throat. Okay. Anything else? You've got the stage, go ahead. Not really? I know. Okay. It's hard, especially when you're stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. He had more memories than, I mean, he had more pictures and stuff. She says no, I know. Everyone, I'm on set.
Okay, since I was misbehaving with granddaughter.
Was.
Is. I remember almost every day going up to Granny's by my
Mhm.
four-wheeler after school. You know, kids do things, but you know, me and my friends used to always go up there and, you know, Lori, we used to bug her, make her.
I loved every second of it.
Easter's coming up, so I should probably say on how many Easter egg hunts I made them go and rehide the Easter eggs for all of us.
Yep.
We were all very close. If it weren't for Granny, she put together all of the holiday dinners for all of us. She's the one who kept it so that all of our families still came together. The arguing between her and Papa now at the dinner tables during the holidays. That's a memory that I'm never gonna forget.
No, no.
Everybody was very close in our family, and hopefully it stays that way. That's what Granny and Papa would have wanted.
Exactly.
But she was definitely the root of keeping us all together. And I remember, I'm glad she got to see my son play baseball and football. The first grandchild that she got to see play football, and Jimmy was her caretaker towards the end. She's very close to all.
She used to talk about you guys, so when she would tell me stories about how you guys would all come up with your kids. And AJ,
She loved
Christian
watching
Julie,
Jimmy
you guys
play
used to come up and talk
baseball
to her.
and AJ playing baseball.
Yes, she loved
We
it.
tried getting her out to as many games as she possibly could. She definitely loved being with the family.
Yeah, that's her life.
It's gonna be a lot different. Good memory.
And you guys are all family children, not just us. Anyone that came in contact with mom, sorry. This is Josie. Josie, she's my best friend in high school. And she came from Texas. That your dad was sick, but yes. God has a neat way of working things together, and we ended up here together. We haven't seen each other in 14 years. And, and I'm so blessed to be able to say goodbye to Mrs. Reeves in person and to be with the family and that day and give everybody hugs. And I feel very blessed for that. Mrs. Reeves was such a blessing in my life. I remember the first day I met her, and that's strange because I was in 8th grade and I was 14 years old, and she had this big car, very big, big car, and she was sitting, smoking out the window. There were kids all around, and everybody was talking to her, and everybody knew her, and I thought, who's this lady that everybody talks to, you know? And it was Kathy's mom, and I remember like talking to her and being real, I don't know, I was very forward when I was a little kid and telling her all about it and all that, and I could tell she liked me, just like Mr. Licazzi said, you felt loved by her. And then, you know, me and Kathy being friends and being friends with the family, she helped me in my love life, as a lot of people know. She did, and she kept me out of trouble
too, and she helped me with my, but not only did she help me with my love life, when that chapter closed, she helped me close it. And so, and she supported me through it, and that was special. And she rooted for me. And if ever Kathy and if I did something wrong to Kathy, boy, Mama Bear came out. Wow. And I like to think I have that Mama Bear in me to this day. And wow, I got her mad one time, and oh wow, that was scary.
Didn't know that.
She forgave, and she forgave, and that was her. You know, she forgave, she forgot, and still went on to help me with my love life. And to this day, if ever I'm slouching, I hear her say, "Put those shoulders down," in my head to this day, how many years later.
Oh my
So, yeah. So I attribute a lot of my growing up to her, my better posture to her, and, you know, just growing up. She helped me grow up, as I'm sure she did a lot of the neighborhood kids, and I know she was loved by them all.
She loved you. She was very proud of you. She used to always tell me, you know, she married a doctor. This is before I met my husband. She'd be like, she married a doctor. That's so funny. Okay, go Josie. Yeah, she did. We go to the hospital, meet one. That's We want to thank everyone for coming and being a part of this. Like we said, we needed this. She didn't want any big fanfare. That was what she said. I don't want everything Dad had, you know, like we did the mash. I don't want anything. I just want nothing. So we broke a little bit of her wishes to do this, but we needed it. We needed this, and we love her, and I'll miss her every day of my life. Every day. So just be prepared, because I already gave my husband the whole spiel.
No.
Mental breakdown when we finally get home, so yes. Yes. All right. Is anybody else? Close your eyes. We didn't walk this way. I'm really not sure. Little thank you from us, little card. Specific. Yeah, we give them this card. Just give them this card.